Professor Swaran Singh, but then why is America silent on it? If they are so sensitive about nuclear issues, my question is, they have been particularly silent on the statements given by Munir.
Indeed, I think it's partly because President Trump is miffed with India on multiple reasons of being a BRICS member, on not recognizing his role in India-Pakistan resolution of the conflict, and so many other things. And he's letting this general from Pakistan, carry forward that kind of angst, anxiety, paranoia, or whatever you want to call it against India, and carry it to almost, caricature level. I mean, it's a formal official visit on a very important occasion of the retirement ceremony of Central Command Chief General Kurila, and one cannot assume that these words were not really thought of before. Absolutely. And then to talk of 10 missiles, why 10 missiles, and why hit that dam which is going to destroy Pakistan? And then, of course, talking of India being Mercedes, Pakistan being a dump truck, very strange language. But interesting it is that people are also citing now that a similar mention of Jinnah's quotation of Kashmir being jugular vein was also used before Pahalgam attack. So I think India will have to be careful with what is he, who is he talking, is there any message here? But I think it is equally interesting that it is going to bring down the credibility of American establishment much more, because they claim themselves to be the kind of leaders in ensuring peace and stability when it comes to nuclear weapons and nuclear tensions. And here they are not just keeping silent. All the top generals of United States are hosting him, meeting him. And of course, before that, on 8th of August, we saw that President Trump had also earlier invited him to White House. And it's a strange thing to me. Pakistani generals, of course, this is unprecedented, but one can understand that they will sometimes use that kind of unusual language. But the host, United States, to ignore it, to be silent about it, I think that is a far more threatening signal, not just for India, but for everyone else, that you could allow a general who is known to be sympathizer with terrorists, and of course, sympathizers of terrorists could pass on some of these.
And he's a hardliner, sir. He's a hardliner, educated. I have no issues people getting educated in a seminary, but when I use the word, I use it with the sense that he is the real inheritor of Zia's politics or Zia's army. He was recruited when Zia was trying to Islamify Pakistani civil society and army. He represents that culture of the Pakistani army. He's the product of that politics of Ziaul Haq. That's what we have today.
Indeed, that whole generation of Islamization of Ziaul Haq changed Pakistan in a very different direction, and then we saw out came the result of Taliban being created, and Afghanistan getting into further radicalization, and that kind of mindset is really dangerous for Pakistan itself. And I think the credibility of Pakistan, of course, is really low now, and increasing anger, frustration that they have with India being recognized increasingly around the world, India being now touted as going to be third largest economy, etc., makes them, make such really unacceptable, but below the belt and really pedestrian kind of comments, which do not hold a field marshal, in that esteem that a military general should be held in. And the language and the tenor and the kind of location where he is speaking is, of course, very, very unusual. But to me, greater concern is how American establishment has virtually kept silent. The only voice we heard is a statement from Pakistan Foreign Ministry saying that they have a very strong command and control under complete civilian control. Pakistan is a responsible nuclear weapon state, that they hold restraint and they are disciplined and so on, which doesn't mean much because we understand who controls the power in Pakistan. And here is a general who's not accountable for whatever decisions or comments he's making, is able to not just say such things, but I'm sure he has his finger on the button in case who controls weapons in Pakistan. And civilian leaders may not have much knowledge control of these weapons itself. So that kind of chaotic situation, saying he will take half the world down under with him is very concerning. I think the whole world should be concerned with what is he doing and what is he saying. And United States particularly has astonished people like me that they could not just keep complete silence, but give him red carpet treatment.
I think it'll be a very good opportunity for India.
Okay. Professor Swaran Singh, your comments on this? The most vocal Pak Army chief since Musharraf?
Indeed, you made comparison with General Musharraf, but even you would agree that comparatively Musharraf was far more subtle and far more lighter in his conversation compared to a jihadist kind of language that Asim Munir often uses. And I think it's interesting to see why he's being propped like that by United States. Russia recently recognized Taliban, which is another worry for United States. And of course, they have direct problem with Iran now and also certain political problem with India. And he fits in the bill in that sense of talking like, sort of for United States, ratcheting up that whole situation. And United States perhaps would like to keep silent about it to allow him to do the things that he's doing. But we also know, the whole world knows, India is more than clear and everyone believes India has no first use doctrine. And all strikes of India so far, including the last one in Operation Sindoor, has been very limited, surgical. In the context of wars in Gaza and Ukraine, you can understand how precise the strikes were that India conducted. In fact, cautioned them that they are going to be strikes on terrorist basis. And how can, in that situation, one can assume India creating an existential threat to the nation of Pakistan? So this is nothing but a rhetorical kind of building up of a scenario, and then saying, I'm going to, take down half the world with me. I mean, every other country of the world should be concerned about it. That here is a general who's now recently promoted as Field Marshal of Pakistan. He's talking of taking half the world with him. And, particularly since Pakistan is the only country where there are established stories of sympathizers in the scientific community, there are links with terrorists. It is the most unstable nuclear weapon state in terms of command and control. And George Bush Jr., I remember, had placed billions of dollars in helping Pakistan to build their command and control, which was never accounted for. So we don't know if they really have a robust command and control there. You remember Al-Qaeda had mentioned of dirty bombs, which could mean that even if they are able to get some kind of uranium, enriched uranium, plutonium, etc., they could create dirty bombs. There is no other country in the world which has such loopholes and porous nuclear establishment that Pakistan has. And then the Field Marshal talking about taking down half the world with him is something that should worry, I'm saying, not just India, it should worry every major nation around the world, particularly all the neighboring countries in Eurasia, including friends like China.
Absolutely. And Professor Lucas, your closing